So, what are we doing today? Well, we're sucking up the sun from January, which is quite unique. It's a beautiful day here on the farm, and as you can see, Dylan won't let me rest. He's kind of lonely now that the cows are gone, so he's always hanging around me, looking for somebody to pay attention to him, somebody to be with him. So, what are we doing today? Well, other than enjoying the sunshine and providing Dylan with a little entertainment, I thought I'd talk about how to be a new farmer. And I guess the best way to be a good new farmer is to listen to some of the old farmers, because they've lived through all the different kinds of weather and economic conditions. I mean, sure, things are different now, but how much different really are they? There's good times and bad times, to put it simple. So sorry about that, I'm sitting on a piece of rock. One thing when talking to some of the old farmers, they would always refer to the old Farmers Almanac. And when I first bought one, I couldn't really read it. It looks almost like they've changed it a little bit. They made it a little bit simpler, except for some of the symbols behind the calendar area. And I thought, well, what can it hurt? I can plant when the almanac says to plant. I mean, the worst that'll happen is it'll be the same difference as if I just planted when I received some seeds or felt like I had the time to plant. So maybe I'll just try to use the almanac and see how that works for me. And the almanac's really interesting. It's the number one, the most published periodical in the US since 1792, which is quite a while. So a lot of times when I think about things that have lasted over the years, I think there must be something to it. So what's interesting, I don't even really know what an almanac is. It's actually an astrological culmination of things. So like right on the front cover of the almanac, it doesn't really change very much. It's pretty classic. It says the sun, the moon, the stars, and the planets. So, you think of like fortune tellers and stuff like that, reading your palm and all that when you think about somebody referring to the stars. Unless of course you're a sailor and you use the stars to navigate by. But I found it really interesting that this almanac is so entrenched with the farmers. And rather than reinvent the wheel on a lot of things, like we just went through a drought, and a lot of the farmers were saying that they would coat molasses on corn stalks in order to carry their cows through the winter. And there was a lot of price gouging going on, and that was part of the reason why I decided to sell my herd for the time being, because it just didn't make economic sense. But the almanac's pretty interesting, and it's kind of entertaining too. It's kind of old-fashioned in all honesty, but they do have new articles on things. And they, like right now, they have an article on when to hatch your chickens, and I thought that was kind of fitting because, well, eggs have become quite expensive. So it's Egg Hatching 101, and the article says that you should set your eggs in March and April. However, for centuries, traditional farmers have set eggs year-round, and specifically on days when the moon is growing. And so when the moon is growing, you call that waxing. And when after the full moon, the moon wanes. Those are the terms that are used. And so when the moon is growing from new to full in one of the three zodiac signs. This practice, which derives partially from the folklore and partially from hard-earned experience, follows the belief that the moon influences the outcome of certain tasks. In this case, the thinking is that chicks hatch from eggs that are set when the waxing, increasing, moon is at its astrological, not astronomical, Signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces will be healthier and mature more quickly. And you know, it's got a picture of a chick, and then the next page, it goes on to choosing your incubator and that sort of thing. So I'm actually gonna find some fertilized eggs from one of the farms here that sells eggs, and most people that sell eggs have chicken roosters that run with their chickens, and so every egg is fertilized, unlike the factory farm chickens, many of which you can buy in the store. So you know, the majority of them are probably fertilized, because roosters they're more romantic than goats even. So the chances are that the egg's fertilized if the chickens are running around the pasture. So what the main idea of what I wanted to say, what are we doing today, I just wanted to introduce the almanac to people that either aren't aware of it or just think it's this old-fashioned folklore type of book. They actually run statistics on how their weather predictions, how accurate they have been. And of course you can, you know, move statistics all over the place. But the person that worked for the almanac for years was actually a NASA physicist. And just as he was consulted for NASA for space shots and whether the weather would hold for those, he also used a certain algorithm, which is like top secret, for the almanac predictions as well. And then within the almanac, it gets very specific by your zip code, and it says that you need to go into the internet so your forecast will be more accurate to your zip code. They call it a left-handed calendar, which I'm not exactly sure where that got its name or its origin. But I'm just reflecting on the importance of networking with older farmers. They have lived through so much, and even how they've modified their tools and their tractors and things like that, and fixed them with very little means. I mean, unless you're like a multi-million-dollar type of farmer or rancher, the inputs will kill you economically. There's just like no way you can make it. So I have a real clown of a horse. I mean, he's just like a Mr. Ed or something. And he kind of acts like a dog. And I'm sorry, I'm just so distracted by him. He always he thinks my hair's straw or something. I don't know. He just likes to touch me. So, and you might wonder like why I'm not scared that he's gonna bite me or something. Even a buck on a horse is not considered an aggressive move. The only thing that's aggressive on a horse is their mouth, and you know, we have a certain kind of relationship. He's not gonna do anything with his mouth against me. So I would highly suggest picking up a Farmers Almanac, and if you can't afford it, they're like $7.99. You can go to the library. I'm sure you can check it out. And also, if you just want a quick look, you can go to the farmersalmanac.com, and it'll just tell you when to plant things. They just kind of give you the Cliff Notes version, or the short version of what you should do and when you should do it. I mean, it has like basic observations, like plant, like if you observe dandelions, that's when you should plant a certain crop or like vegetable. So anyway, that's what we're doing. We're gonna read the Farmer's Almanac in the sun, and that's what we're doing today.